All right, I'm looking at the final version of my document, which is final.formattedlimerick.ai. And if I click on the headline with the black arrow tool, and I'm clicking on the base of the text just to make sure I select it, although you have a lot of latitude when you're clicking on text. It's very easy to select this stuff. But notice that this is point text, so there is no container for the text, which is unusual. Most other programs require some form of text frame. Illustrator does allow you to work with text frames if you want to, especially for body copy, which is text that needs to automatically wrap down to another line of type. However, anytime you don't want automatic wrapping, you want to control the wrapping, which is great when working with headlines, specialty type logos, then you want to start with point type. And I'll go ahead and switch over to my document in progress, which I'm calling pointtextheadline.ai. I'm going to move this guy out of the way for a moment. And let me show you, if you're creating type from scratch with the type tool, then you go ahead and switch to the type tool. And if you want to create a text frame, you drag with the tool like so, and then start typing into it. Let's say that's not what you want. I'll press the escape key and then go ahead and press the backspace key to delete that text object. If you want to create point text like we have here, then again, you switch to your type tool and you just click and you create this blinking insertion marker. You go ahead and enter your type. If I press the escape key, then you'll see that I have type that aligns to a point. All right, so what does that end up meaning? I'm going to go ahead and delete that text. And let's apply some sort of early formatting to this text right here. I'm going to change the size and what's known as the leading, which is the distance between the baselines, between one baseline and the next. It looks like the word, if you've never seen it before, it's spelled L-E-A-D-I-N-G. So it looks like the word leading, but it's actually leading because back in the hot metal type days, they'd actually use rows of lead to space the text. So how do we get to the leading controls? Well, a couple of different ways to get there. You can see when text is selected like it is, and then text can either be selected with the black arrow tool if you want to affect the entire text object, which is what I want, or you can just select some text using the type tool. And when text is selected, then you can see some formatting controls up here in the control panel, including the word character and the word paragraph. Character brings up the character panel like so. And what we're seeing here are character level formatting attributes. In other words, attributes that affect single characters at a time. So if you want to format just a selected character of type or a selected word, then these formatting controls are available to you. But if I've got the entire thing selected, then I'll apply my character level formatting attributes to all of the selected text. Paragraph brings up formatting attributes that affect entire paragraphs of text at a time, even if you just have a single character of type selected. But your main attributes are the character attributes. So I'll go ahead and click on character. And notice there's my size value right there, my type size value. And next door is my leading. So if I click on this sort of growing T here, that'll select the type size value. And let's say I'll go ahead and change it to 58 points, something very large. Leading will automatically change by default. And when you're working with auto leading, you can see the auto leading value in parentheses. And by the way, auto leading is 120% of the type size. So if you were to multiply 58 times 1.2, then you would get 69.6. However, you can override that. You can enter your own leading value, which of course is, again, going to control the distance between the baselines. And I'm going to change my leading to 62 and then press the tab key. And you can see that that goes ahead and moves the lines closer together. All right, now I'm going to hide the character panel just by pressing the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac. And you can see, if I were to scroll over a little bit here, that my text has no constraints whatsoever. It's just going to keep going as long as it wants to, meaning that it can flow over multiple artboards or it can flow into the pasteboard and so forth. Obviously, we're not going to want that long term, but I just want you to know that that's the way point text works. Completely unconstrained text. All right, I want to format this headline onto 2 lines of type. And so because there is no auto wrapping, what I'll have to do is double click at this location right there in order to set my insertion marker right before the P in project. And then I'll press the backspace key or the delete key on the Mac to get rid of that space character. And I'll press the Enter key here on the PC or the Return key on the Mac in order to knock that text down onto the next line. And then I'll press the Escape key in order to switch back to the black arrow tool. All right, so that gives you an idea of how to work with point text inside of Illustrator. In the next movie, I'll share with you a few tips and tricks for previewing and assigning fonts.